Okay, everyone. Welcome back to another Thursday frequency. I'm really glad to see all of you, and I'm particularly glad to see Amol, who I haven't seen on this particular frequency in a long time, and Katie, who I think I've never seen on this frequency. So welcome. And I think we just start with the round of introductions. Katie, what do you do at Adobe?
Hi, I'm Katie. I work with Lars and Amol, and I work on the Adobe. Oh, Lars, now that you're here, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to get this wrong. Edge Delivery Services and Adobe Experience Manager sites as a cloud service with
Perfect.
document-based authoring. Um, I primarily see myself as a front-end developer, so I like working with customers to get their sites converted to from whatever platform they were on to edge delivery, and that's my passion. I like the doing the front end.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Katie, great to have you here. And Amol,
Thank
um,
you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Amol Anand, principal engineer with the AEM engineering team, working on edge delivery services, or as Lars doesn't like to call it, EDS. But but I primarily work with Katie and Lars and the team to, work on edge delivery, get customers on it, talk to customers about it, all the way from pre-sales to development. Kind of have my hands on all the different pies. So,
yeah.
you know, fun stuff.
And and not to sell you short, I would like to point out that since recently, Amol also joined our on-call rotation. So um,
Yes,
uh,
fun.
which which is which is great. Right, I, I hope it's the kind of responsibility that comes with a lot of power, um, but I can't always guarantee it. So um, welcome, welcome back to the frequency, Amol. And
Thank you, Lars.
yeah, and for I see a couple of people who haven't turned on their camera. There's just the usual friendly reminder that we really like to have the camera on, um, as as Dominik and I learned just this week. We found out that our job is entirely replaceable by Notebook LLM. Um, so the only thing that we have going for us is our good looks, and that's why keeping the camera on is essential. And um, and with this, I would like to. Well, I can't. Well, actually, I can. Speaking of good looks, um, Katie and Amol, you've brought a bag of really good looking tools for for us, and I think it would be great if we could take a look at them and discuss them one by one.
Yeah, Katie, please do the honors and kick
Absolutely.
us off.
So if I go back in time a little, when this product was relatively young, we had this product, and we still do. We still have this piece, the Adobe, or I guess it's called AEM boilerplate now.
Right.
So when you're starting your AEM edge delivery services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, site for the first time, you can use this template to kind of launch your site. It had a couple of blocks in there. Ones that we see as we're working with customers that occur on site after site after site. As we've worked with more customers, we've accumulated more knowledge and more understanding about how different kind of companies and different sites operate, and they have more blocks, more components that are reusable on their sites. Rather than plugging them all into boilerplate, we've created something that's called block collection, where we store these reusable blocks, these reusable components that we see not on like 95% of sites, but about on 50% of sites. Things like tables, video players, that kind of thing. And then as we continue on this journey, we learn more and more and see more sites, we see other opportunities for these kind of reusable components, ones that come up, but with a little less frequency than obviously boilerplate or something like block collection. And we created something called Block Party. As we get more developers into this ecosystem and kind of let them run and explore their creativity and do all the things that AEM Edge Delivery allows them to do, we've kind of expanded beyond something that's just specifically like reusable block components. People are building add-ins and plugins into Sidekick. They're building tools that help them integrate with the AED admin script, or I guess tool. I don't know what I would say there. But has expanded for the purposes beyond the scope of just these JavaScript and CSS block components. They've kind of not had a really good place to live, not being specifically blocks, but snippets of code. And they've kind of been spread across. Some made it into Block Party. Some have been shared internally. Some have been shared across Discord, like, hey, I built this thing that lets me view logs. We have an endpoint in the AEM admin for that, but wouldn't it be great if we could like actually see what those logs look like and explore them? Now, as we're getting to a different place in our maturity, we want to find a place where we can kind of put those all together, and that's make them a little more accessible to people who are well entrenched in the ecosystem or just getting started and maybe are looking for different ways to make their workflow a little easier. So this is where tools and labs come in. And I think I can share my screen, hopefully. Ooh, I'd really like to.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's watch the stream. That is.
Oh, am I doing this right? I don't know how to
You
use
are doing it
Discord,
right.
so-
I'm seeing admin tools.
You're a
Very
seasoned
old.
pro. You're great.
I'm too old for Discord. Okay, so tools and labs are our first attempt at kind of aggregating all of these awesome features that a bunch of different developers across Adobe and beyond have contributed to making it easier to work with Edge Delivery. So up here we have tools. You'll see it's very slim. We've got a push and validator tool, log viewer, and bulk operations. And then if we look at something called labs, we have a nice experimental banner provided by Rafi, as well as a few more options. So our thinking is, and the kind of distinction for me, and maybe Amol can correct me, but for me, I think of tools as things that are really tried and tested. These are things that have been used internally extensively, and as well as are in customers' hands and are getting customer use. These are things that are well documented, well supported, and people are using them. We have demonstrated use for these. Labs, as the experimental flag hopefully conveys, is more of a playground. When you're thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could do this? Or I have an idea for how I could make something in my development cycle a little easier that might be useful for other developers. Labs is the place for that. This is somewhere where you can kind of test out to see if a tool that you're using is useful for other people, get some feedback, make it more robust, and with demonstrated use, as well as like a little bit more documentation, these labs can sort of, in a sense, graduate into the tools platform. Again, tools being tried and tested in customers' hands, demonstrated use. And that's, I think, kind of a brief history of how we got here and where these are.
Okay.
So tools.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And we have tools on tools.aem-live. We have labs on labs.aem-live. And I want to point out one thing, that when you open tools, Katie, there's this little thingy floating over the bottom of the page, which a lot of people haven't seen yet. So if you go to tools, you can actually see it, not on labs.
Oh,
which is
okay. Oh, the sidekick?
Which is the new sidekick. So I think this is a reminder for Dominik and I that we need to schedule a sneak preview call with Rafi to give us a tour of the Sidekick. But this is really just a new version of the Sidekick, so not part of the tools themselves.
That's a good call out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And okay.
And then they look very similar. Both admin and tools have this submit feedback button. Clicking that will take you right to Discord, which by virtue of being here, you should be familiar with.
Yep.
And this would be a good way to get in touch with us about usage of tools, questions you have, ideas, suggestions, and if you've got something interesting that you think you want to contribute, you've seen, someone shared with you, any labs and tools discussion, Discord would be a great place.
Perfect. Okay, so let's do demos. I'm excited to see demos. Which one do we want to start with?
I'm really hard to stop sharing my screen so Amol can show one of the one of the tools.
Okay, let's see.
So Amol, which one do you have in mind as the first demo?
Do the log viewer first.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
I think that's one that we've seen. It came about because we were getting questions on, hey, we previewed something or we published something, has it gone through, has it not? And so we wanted to just surface this. I think initially we had a API endpoint for the audit logs, and now we also have log viewer. So let me go into that and let me try and pick the site that runs tools.aem.live. I'm gonna hit submit. Initially, it's gonna tell you that, hey, I'm not signed into the Sidekick, so I need to sign in to be able to view my logs. So I click on that link. It takes me to, I have the old Sidekick here. So I'm gonna just, let me switch for a second. See if I can sign in, otherwise. Let me sign out. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. And then I come back to my page and I hit submit. It's gonna tell me what's happened so far, right? This is the last 24 hours. If I wanna say, okay, show me all the audit logs for the last 5 days, you can go and see all the different things. For example, I just previewed the homepage. I pushed it live as well. So you can see who did what. You can see the path to it. Then you can see that the indexer ran, the sitemap got updated, so on and so forth. Or if there was a code push, I can take a look at that and see, the details behind it and see, okay, the index.html, styles.css, scripts.js, all of this was pushed recently to the main branch. So it's kind of gives you a little bit of self-service, just to kind of see what has happened. If you're looking to audit something and be like, hey, we ran into this issue, this is a good first spot to come in, take a look at it, see what's happened. See, you might see how long certain things took. You can also see other columns here by just expanding this little expander thing. And you can see if there were any errors, for example, then those would show up here as well and give it. So it's a nice, easy way to kind of look at what, all the different things that have happened from a code perspective or a content perspective and all the jobs that run in the background. So it puts this in the customer's hands and, makes it a little self-service for them. So they don't have to rely on other people to give them this information.
Right.
Okay.
So
the other good one here is, sorry.
Amol, I won't let. So how frequently do you use the log viewer, and what kind of problems do you diagnose with it?
Yeah, so usually what used to happen was we had a couple of customers, and it started off with 2 customers who really needed to see, hey, we published this page, but it doesn't show up on the homepage yet. I published this article, but it doesn't show up on it's not indexed yet or whatever. And they wanted to see how long it takes for that to happen. And so that's when I kind of built the initial version of this, and then Katie thankfully helped pretty it up and make it actually actually more functional. But that's how it was born. Was they kept asking me, "Hey, we published this page, but I'm not sure when it got indexed, and I'm not sure when the index got pushed or whatever, right?" So I think that's where it kind of was born out of. A lot of the times, people are just kind of there are things that happen in front of the user, which is, look, I hit preview, I hit publish, so I'm expecting everything to be good. But there are other things once you get into the nitty gritty of it. It's like, oh, did my index get updated, or when did my sitemap get updated? Things like that. So sometimes if there's an error that happens, you need to know that why didn't this page get indexed for whatever reason, right? And this would tell you that. And I think that's where that's what this kind of helped them do themselves rather than ask me every time there was an issue.
Yeah. And of course, we want you to use this as little as possible because things should go smooth. But when they don't, then this is a good first tool for a diagnosis, right? And
exactly, right. I rarely use it unless there's some issue that the customer has seen, and then they tell me, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing in the log viewer," and then we look at things.
Okay. Let's have a look at the
bring your own CDN. Really one that that I used recently, I think yesterday, that I shared with a customer is the push and validation validator. Here you can basically click on whichever CDN you're setting up, and before you get the CDN credentials and put it into your .helix/config Excel or sheet, we're not sure half the time if that's correct. We got it from some CDN team, maybe they gave us the wrong information, whatever. So we can come here if you have Akamai, Fastly, Cloudflare, or CloudFront. You can come here, put in the host name, put in the dist ID, access key, secret access key, whatever is needed, validate it, make sure that this test is successful, and if it's successful, then put it into your Helix config and preview it, and then you're all set, right? Okay. So it's a very important tool for that we tend to use pretty much in all projects.
Do we have that linked in the documentation?
I believe so. Yes, it is linked. I checked that yesterday.
Okay, good.
This tool is linked to it.
I remember touching all of our CDN documentation, but I did that. I did that.
The Cloudflare, the CloudFront talks yesterday, and it.
Okay.
I think, maybe not the others. We can check that and see what's happening. But there are other things in labs as well. If you want to do deep PSI comparison, this is one that I end up going to compare, two different URLs and see what the PSI reports. It gets the information of the Core Web Vitals, 10 times in a row, so that you can then see the averages and see what it kind of, is your average good, is your average bad.
Amol, can we run that?
We could. I don't have any branches to run it against. But
maybe we just run it with main -- Helix website Adobe .am.page. Versus aem.live. I think you need the HTTPS.
No.
Yep.
Let me refresh this page and do it again. So. Yeah, so it's doing a bunch of different fetch calls in the background to test out the PSI for these pages, and it's going to then show you a little comparison. So it might take some time. But this is a good one when you're really trying to compare maybe one branch versus the main to see like, how really things have changed, or if you really want to deep dive into all the core web vitals and take averages over the year.
Especially when you have a bit of variation in your core web vitals, right? When you see them fluctuating and this is
so you can see sort of the FCP, SI, HCP, everything that you need. You can see what's happening there, and it's going to fetch the report for you.
We can see the
show that as well,
and we can see the standard error on this. So this has
again, this is something that we've used from time to time. It's been useful for certain situations, but it's not something that everyone is using. So it's not yet in tools, right? That's why it's in labs for the moment. But if we
Also
see a lot of
missing
usage
kind
for
of
this is something
necessary documentation we need for this to be accessible to people beyond who knows exactly what the tool is doing.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to stop there. So the other thing I do want to mention, and is there a chat I can put stuff into?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see
it's should be on the right side of the on the top right corner. You should see a little speech
so I
bubble.
just wanted to give, like, if you have other ideas, like Katie mentioned, if you have other thoughts of like this tool would be useful or this would be nice to have, please use Discord for all of that to give us the feedback. If you use these tools and you have any issues with them, or you're running into some whether it's an issue or whether it's an enhancement that you'd like to see in these tools, then you can go directly to GitHub and just add an issue to the GitHub repos itself. So I'm just going to paste the two repos here for you. Okay, for tools and labs. Okay, and I put it in the chat. I think it's in the right chat, but I'm not sure. Lars.
And Dominik, I think we're getting a question on the chat. Can you read it aloud for? Best unmute yourself.
I was muted. Yeah. Okay, we have a question from Varun regarding the audit logs. Do these logs also show up when the code is purged using admin APIs, or when the Helix config is now it's jumping, is updated? I don't know. For Amol, or
I believe anything that would be in the audit API logs will show up here. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And these are the types of things, right? We made a call and then we didn't see what we were supposed to see. So what do you think happened? This is a good place to start. And then it might or might not give you all the information here, but at least it'll take you in the right direction.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think we have another request from Chris and information. One request we got from our teams was to preview publish an entire folder. I saw that the new bulk operations. Could we get that for folder level also?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's
we already have that in the API.
Yeah, it actually kind of touches on what I was going to say earlier, or what I put in the chat. The new bulk tooling from the AEM admin API, which is what bulk operations uses on tools or labs, whichever one. It's actually talking to SharePoint and Google Drive to list the resources that are in those folders. So it does folder traversal, and so you can put a star and you can do everything, and it'll actually request in a very graceful and throttled way, so you don't get the dreaded 429s. So that's totally supported. You can preview and publish what's in a folder.
Yeah, I can confirm. We used it a few weeks ago. It worked quite good.
And you can use the admin edit tool in labs to basically make those defaults if you don't want to use Postman or something else. And that's a nice tool to have as well.
Okay. So
Yeah, maybe. Oh,
go ahead, Chris.
I gotta drop, but one thing I would say is Sidekick will, so just a little bit behind the scenes, you open up Sidekick and Sidekick will actually listen for any requests that are directly talking to the admin API. So what it will do is it will wrap up any requests that you send. So if you've ever had to use Postman where you got to go find your token that's in a header somewhere, Sidekick, logging into Sidekick and using these tools, all of that is taken care of for you. It makes your life so much easier. So congrats to the team on getting this shipped. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks. Well, when the challenge is to build a more usable UI than Postman, you you got to take on the challenge. And yeah, and the thing is, I'm using curl most of the time, which is yet another level of well, hoping for the best and hoping that my terminal history has the right secrets and the right paths and the right host names remembered. So I've seen two tools there, one SVG Doctor and one video related. Can we talk about these?
Katie?
When you say talk about them, do you mean demo them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let me make sure I've got videos prepared or SVGs prepared. And I can do that. I think more than anything, SVG Doctor came out of my frustration with how many SVGs I was given when I'm working on sites, and people were like, these aren't working right, or the color is maintained, so when they're on a button they don't switch, or one of my favorites is they had a very like branded set of SVGs for across their site, but they were all slightly different colors, like the gray was sometimes gray and sometimes black. Anyway, and a lot of people, for good reason, aren't familiar enough with SVG to know how to fix those things, and I, in my infinite frustration, was like, I know a little bit about SVGs, and I think I can get us there. Let me make sure I've got some. Okay. Let me share my screen. I try really hard to share my screen. Okay, so SVG Doctor is in Labs. This is another good example of why Labs and Tools came about. This used to live on the aem-live website, which is not a great place for it. Tools or Labs seems like a better fit. So here we can go through all of my really mismanaged files and try to find an SVG to test. I want to find a couple of examples. So something like, let's do box. Something like this box. This might be on a button. Maybe I can zoom out a little. On something like a button, send, ship, submit, whatever. If we put it on a button, this is kind of what we would expect to happen, right? We want it to maintain the color of the text. We don't want it to be a black icon with white text. And we want it to kind of respond and react appropriately. This is what I mean when I say I don't know if I have any SVGs, because me being me, I want to fix them all. There are some instances where we obviously don't want that to happen. I think I've got... I think this is my poor MasterCard logo. Something like a branded logo, that's something that we don't want to mess with, right? We want that to maintain its colors throughout. And then we have an instance where I have one, go.
Cool.
Where we've got an SVG where the coloring becomes kind of stylistic and important in some way, but maybe not all of it does. So we can do something like select a specific color, and that will then be able to inherit the kind of behavior we expected on the button. Button's not a good example, but when we switch from like light and dark mode, we can see that the text, no matter like the not special stylized text, this maintains the kind of functionality we want, whether you're on dark mode or light mode, kind of irrespective of what background you have within reason. This SVG now behaves not as it did before, but now we can kind of inherit from context.
Right.
Using CSS styling, current color, however we want to do that. In addition, we can also set an accessibility feature on the SVGs through SVG Doctor. The icon or SVGs have a title element inside them. This tool allows you to set that, and then you can download your newly stylized, edited, titled, whatever changes you've made right from the tool.
Okay, very cool.
And that one I think is well served in labs for the people who care about these things. The Venn diagram is a circle, and the circle is me for people who cared this deeply. And the MP4 Doctor is an interesting one as well. When we were encountering some problems on some customer sites, I think this comes up in like blogs or tutorials or something like that, where they have a very large video file, a demo of some feature, a long advertisement sort of thing, whatever the content is. It was just too long, and we were getting errors that it was not able to be processed because of the file size.
Right.
I think I've got a video somewhere. MP4. Let's see if I have one. Okay, we'll use you. Maybe we won't. So we can drag our video here. And we've got our kind of compressed, is it the right word? Compressed video that we can download here as well as a little preview. This also works on other video formats. So if we had something like GIF or an MOV, something that wasn't like as optimized for the web as MP4 is, I believe we can do that as well. If I have a GIF somewhere, maybe? I don't know that I have those anymore. Ooh. Yeah. I do. So if I have a GIF, I can also drop that into the video processor, and we can watch it progress. And it will convert our little GIF into, I think it's still an MP4. But instead of a GIF file format, which comes with its own performance considerations, we can now download. I really think it's an MP4. Is it a GIF? We should look at that. Oh, it is. We should fix that. But now we have that as an MP4, which is going to be better for us to use in our website than something like a GIF. This is also good for things like, I don't know if I have any examples, but if you have like a video that you'd like to use as like kind of a background in a hero image, a marquee, something like that, a tool like this, we can kind of optimize that for those like big splashy places where you want a video or a GIF, some animated content for the site.
Yeah. And so the thing that I find really interesting about the MP4 Doctor is
Mhm.
that it's all running on the client side. And right, so you never send the image actually to a server. You're uploading it essentially to your page, and have the transcoding done locally in your browser. Right, which, come on, this is a browser. Didn't somebody tell browsers that they're not serious applications and can't do this kind of stuff? And on the other hand, I want to point out that this is hosted by our friends at Kazaran. So we're embedding something here into our site, and they're hosting it for us. For you don't want to ask reasons. Okay. Yeah. Can we have a quick look? I think there were so many things in the admin labs that I didn't even remember all of them. But the two doctors have been around for a while. Oh, okay. So the admin edit, I think this is what Chris mentioned, right? Is basically this the
UI for
better
Perl.
Postman
Yes.
UI that automatically injects your credentials from Sidekick, and yeah.
I don't have any calls prepared
Yeah, no,
that aren't on
no,
customer sites, so
that's
I
fine.
apologize for that.
That's fine. Yeah, and
But yeah, just like Lars was saying, like you can do all of this in curl. We're aware of that. Log viewer, you can pull up logs in curl, no problem. I think sometimes it's difficult to ask customers, especially non-technical customers, to invest in that process. So these are just, I mean, log viewer and admin edit are good examples of like trying to kind of bridge a gap for something that might be easy to. I personally like curl. I like tapping. I don't want to click a button, but it's nice to have an option, especially for something like log viewer where there's potentially a lot of information that you need. Just a nice tool, a different way to view it. Admin is kind of in the same vein.
Okay.
And then we can also show image audit if you're interested. I can.
Yeah. Let's do that.
That's a new one as well.
The image audit.
So this is a really cool Discord feature that you can have two streams at the same time. So we can now all switch over to Amol's screen.
Oh, I don't.
And
I don't want it.
Yeah.
So by putting, it's kind of going through all the different sort of images that are on that site, on that page. You can download the audit report. You can see which ones are missing alt text. Clearly, a lot of them are. You can see the different sizes if you wanted to filter by that.
Amol, will you run this against Helix website just for fun?
Yeah.
Just
I think you're going to want to use the AEM or page or sitemap or GitHub if you have that handy. Previously, this tool did work against production.
I think we are limiting it to our own sites, so that it's not a denial of service attack tool.
Yes.
Because if you have a less
that is why I asked you to do
a less powerful if you have a less powerful CDN in front of it, your website might say, "Hey, I don't want to serve 1,000 images to you in 16 seconds." So this is actually going against our index, I guess, right? So it's
correct.
It's grabbing.
It'll go through the sitemap.
It's grabbing all of them. Perfect.
Grab them.
Okay.
But yes, just a nice cameo.
Can see
Was the
where it
reason I
is.
asked Amol
Do
to
these
this.
all have a missing alt text? Is that right?
I don't think that's selected.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. I was freaked out by the little eye, indicating
Oh,
that I thought
just
that
info.
that's there's something a little wrong with the image, but okay.
Cannot be.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, image audit is a good example of something that lives firmly in labs, because we're still kind of investigating, like, what is it that we want this tool to do? Like, we have
Right.
PRs for, like, can we filter by color? Can we find similar images? Can we identify what's a portrait and what's a screenshot? Like, there are a lot of different ways that something like this could go, and we're still kind of figuring it out. So labs is a good place for that kind of experimentation while we're still trying to see, like, what is it that customers need? What is it that we can do? What makes the most sense for a tool that you can run just real quick in your browser?
Did we do anything with regards to classifying these images? So what kind of image it is? Because I remember talking about this and thinking that would be a cool thing to do, and then never getting around to doing
like
it.
a good use case is something like screenshots, where
Right.
the product name changes. You want to find out where all you need to redo all those things. So that's a good one. I've got a PR in that we're reviewing right now for filtering by color. We're looking at different tools, maybe libraries, that can help us make the distinction between what's a screenshot and what's not. But yeah, this is obviously open for exploration. For ideas that you want to test out. Absolutely, we would love that.
And it does give you
And
the
you can
type
see
of
in
image,
sorry, go
like
ahead.
PNG versus JPEG or whatever. You can also filter by that eventually at some point.
Okay. I think we got a couple more questions in the chat that went unanswered. Is that right?
No, they are answered. Amol answered all the questions. Yeah,
Perfect.
they had it. I think the rest is good. Yeah.
Okay.
But are there any other questions directly from you all?
Image audit throws a CORS issue.
That's correct. It probably will if you don't have the course blocker. Another thing that we're trying to figure out the correct way to do.
Yeah.
Maybe just adding it in the text on top, then people know how it doesn't work, why it's not working, and how to fix it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just one remark from my side. I noticed that the images are not linked, and a few times I already clicked on the image, so spontaneously. That would be good, maybe. Or is there something against this?
Dejan, could you repeat that? The question didn't come through entirely, and I don't want to
no
just
problem.
answer what I heard instead of what you said.
Okay, the question is why the images are not linked. I was playing with the tools, and a few times I clicked on the image, and I wasn't thinking, oh, it's not working. Just the usability.
Okay.
So you need to press on the button always, not on the image.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
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 Tools, yeah, presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's make the click targets bigger. Yeah, and
The labs area looks really impressive. Thanks for doing it. So tools I was aware of, but labs I never used before, so it's really nice to have even more tools to play around with.
Yeah, and as we, Katie already mentioned earlier, labs is more a little experimental. It's not like everyone's using it or everyone needs it. So, it's not going to be as polished as, let's say, what's in tools. But, as you guys use it, and if we see a lot of usage, then that tells us that, yeah, this is something that is useful that we should
Right.
spend more time on. Right.
So you're checking the access logs, which tool is used more often?
We have RUM for that.
I have,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
If you are the
Actually,
10th
I don't
user.
need to look at access logs anymore.
Yeah.
But
The
Yeah, but I meant you check not through the logs, but you check if it's used.
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that's
So we need a counter then below the different tools, like in the good old times.
ooh, that could be
That'd be nice.
that could be fun to have a little old timey counter, actually powered by RAM.
That sounds fun.
Yep.
This page has
that
been
does
viewed
sound fun.
exactly one time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I know exactly what font I want that little widget to be in too.
Okay.
I'll just see it.
Same here.
Korea.
Katie, I'm sensing a collaboration here, so I might, as as usual, I might work on the data side so that you can. Good. Okay. Ina, thanks for that suggestion. I think.
I can test it afterwards.
Yep. Okay. Are there other questions right now? Because it would be a shame if you have a question right now and then you're going to type it into Discord in 15 minutes when we are all offline again. And you have to wait.
It's not on the recording. That's also not good.
Right. So if there are no more questions, then I have a question for Dominik. And and you know
As
what
usual.
the question is. When are we talking again, and what's the topic going to be?
I hope we speak at Adapter, not in a live session, but I'm preparing together with Roman and Stefan from Adapter that we talk to you, I hope. Most of you maybe are there, I don't know. In regards to edge delivery services and other topics. But then, first of all, after Adapter, we will be spooky. So this is then the part of Lars and Chris talking about spooky, I don't know, crashes and other problems with code. I don't know, but it will be spooky, I'm sure.
Outages, downtime, CSOs, all of that scary stuff. Yep.
Exactly, and this will be on the 31st, of course.
Right.
Yeah, Ina?
And it's a Tuesday. This is scary because I just deleted today my blocker on Tuesday because someone said there will be no more Tuesday calls.
Yeah.
Now you got me. This is the typo. This is not a Tuesday. I will change it because I just did an update and there is another Thursday on the November 7th. So there we will have a look back at that up to together with Roman and Stefan. So I hope to talk to a lot of you and then we do a look back.
Okay.
So that's it. Yes. And if you have other topics, please approach me. If you want to present something, if you want to do a demo, if you want to do live coding, just send me an email. You can do whatever you want. Also not all, but a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of live coding, Chris did some live coding last week. Did anyone dial in and? No? Okay. So we go ahead.
I did. I got and watched Chris.
Okay. How did you like it?
It was interesting.
Okay.
It was fun.
Great. I will take that back to Chris, and maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that again a couple of times. I think it's always great to use the community feature here in Discord to chat with all of you. And in particular and especially thanks today to Katie and Amol for joining us, for showing a couple of the tools of the trade and the guinea pigs of the labs, and also thanks everyone for dialing in. Thanks everyone for watching the recording, although it's only half as cool as being here live. As a quick reminder.